The moment the man noticed the Queen, his brow furrowed and his voice suddenly rose. "People like you live off the people. You live in luxury in the palace, but here we are fighting for survival. People like you do the world no good." It was a cool afternoon on the historic streets of London. The sky was painted the red of sunset, but there was still a sharp chill in the air. The long shadows of majestic buildings cast long shadows on the sidewalks, and the double rows of stone paths seemed to bear the traces of countless people passing by. Everyone was going about their own lives, some hurrying to get somewhere, some window shopping, others chatting along the street. A little further on, people were sitting in cafes sipping hot drinks. Some were taking a walk in the parks, and a few young people were crossing over old stone bridges, pausing for a moment under the street lamps to watch the London skyline. The city was as vibrant as ever. But that evening, the streets of this magical city would witness an event that would be remembered for years to come. A striking figure appeared in the center of the crowd, Queen Elizabeth. She was wearing an elegant dark red dress and an elegant hat. Only a few attendants walked beside the Queen in case of any danger. The Queen walked with dignity, making no extraordinary effort to attract attention. People were so lost in the crowd that not many noticed her at first. But when one person noticed, others took notice, and then whispers began to spread. People turned to look at each other, some bowing their heads in greeting, others staring at him with puzzled eyes, and then, suddenly, the movement in the street disappeared. Out of the crowd, a man stepped forward, wearing an old coat, torn in many places, and his face full of signs of fatigue. He looked older than his years, perhaps the burden of years, perhaps the anger that had built up inside him had aged him. The moment he noticed the Queen, his brow furrowed and his voice rose abruptly. "People like you live off the people. You live in luxury in the palace, but here we are fighting for survival. People like you do the world no good." As his voice echoed, a woman dropped her glass. The sound of the glass breaking made the tension of the moment even more pronounced. Some people shifted uneasily in their seats. It was unusual to witness such a scene on the streets of London. On ordinary days, people were polite to each other and avoided loud arguments. But that day was different from normal days. It was as if everyone was petrified. People stopped talking. Footsteps stopped. Only the flapping of pigeons' wings could be heard. Some looked on curiously. Others looked away, as if disturbed. The crowd was waiting for the Queen's reaction. One of the officials standing next to the Queen took a few steps towards the man. The man might have dared to get closer to Queen Elizabeth and do her harm. But the Queen's face showed not the slightest concern. She gestured for her bodyguard to stop. For her, this was not a danger. She looked at him carefully, her eyes scrutinizing him from head to toe. He still looked angry, but the Queen's lack of a strong reaction seemed to have taken him by surprise. Everyone held their breath. A woman in the crowd clasped her hands together in silent prayer. A young girl took out her cell phone and started recording the moment. It could have been a scene that would resonate on social media. The light from the street lamps cast a soft shadow on the Queen's face. The wind blew gently, ruffling the edges of the man's coat. People had begun to speak in hushed voices, but still they could not take their eyes off the pair. A few people in the crowd moved a little closer, wondering how the Queen would respond to the man. Queen Elizabeth fixed her eyes on him and tilted her head slightly to one side. Smiling warmly but without sarcasm, she spoke without raising her voice, but with a clarity that everyone could hear. "I understand your anger. It is easy to look for a culprit in the face of adversity. But have you ever thought about this? What did you do today to make your life better?" The hardness in the man's face relaxed a little. It was as if the Queen had not fought his anger directly, but had invited him to search and question within himself. Several people around nodded in agreement with Queen Elizabeth's words. The Queen continued, "My life is your business, because you are still looking for the right way to change your life. If you look for solutions instead of blame, you can find out what can really make you happy." At these words, the man stopped and looked down. He opened his lips as if he wanted to say something, but he could not find the words to say in the face of this beautiful answer. At that moment, something seemed to change inside him. The Queen gave him one last kind look and continued her walk. The crowd slowly began to return as the officials joined her, but the man was still standing where he was. Perhaps for the first time, he was really thinking about the question hidden behind his anger. And the old stone roads of London memorized every word of that conversation, along with everyone who stepped on it.